The end has come, and so ends the HBO epic series Game of Thrones. It's called epic, that's what people call it. I personally liked it. I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. After thinking about it a little bit, I understand why some things happened. And unless they're hypocrites, which let's face it, they actually are, the people like Nerderotic and that would be happy with the ending as well because they were all bitching about John's hero's journey, which I'll be doing another video on that alone just to explain it to them and what the hero's journey actually is, with the hero's journey chart included. Because that's what they were complaining about with the third episode and everything. So, because to be honest with you, I stopped watching their crap and I even unsubbed a couple of them because it was just getting annoying. Kind of like what some people say about my voice. Ha ha ha. I thought the directing was wonderful. I mean, these guys aren't going to be directing the Star Wars film, which is sad. They're just going to be writing it. I'd rather prefer them just direct it because their directing style is just wonderful. Some of the scenes they do, like the one currently on the screen of when Daenerys was walking out of the broken down castle, the dragon wings spread out behind her, showing that, yeah, she is the true evil, she's the devil, or whatever you want to call it. To the end, when the three Starks are walking their path to where they're headed to, and all converging with each other. I thought that was shot well. Would I be one of those people that would say this series is completely ruined for me and I can't stand it? I'm gonna throw away all the Game of Thrones stuff that I have and I hate it. No, I'm not a moron. And I've noticed with this that is there ever been anything that ends that people like? People hated the Return of the Jedi when it came out. When you go to articles now, people are constantly complaining about how it ended, how the Empire just fell like that because the Emperor died. The Emperor didn't do anything to Vader when he was being electrocuted. He just took it. Excuse me. People really hated Lost. People hate this. I mean, can't think of any ending in geek culture that people actually enjoy. Because even Lord of the Rings, people complained about how there were so many different endings to it with the closing all the storylines down. So, has there ever been a geek culture ending that people enjoyed? Because you can't even say Toy Story 3 because they're not having a 4, so 3 wasn't the ending, sorry. And you can't say more to Sam, I mean Endgame, because, well, Spider Man Far From Home. There's your proof that the series is continuing. Talk about actual endings, because even though Game of Thrones is getting a prequel, that is a prequel. It's not going to be what happens next. I would have preferred to see Grey Worm get killed for all the horrible things that he did, even though he was following his orders and that. He was doing it out of spite. Like, everybody could see that, every normal person could see that Danny was being, well, the devil or Hitler, being massively evil. The people had surrendered. The war was over, and yet she was still killing people. And he was doing it because, oh, they killed the girl that I liked. I don't care. I don't care that he said he was doing it because it was his queen's orders. No, he was doing it because they killed the girl he liked. So let's go to the recap, because hey, why not? One last time with a recap of Game of Thrones, Season 8, Episode 5. The show starts off the credits, obviously, and what showed up before. Tyrion goes walking around the city very sad and upset because, well, all the dead children and women, and he sees people walking out of the city all burned up and covered in scabs, or at least one person, and they all surrendered. They were not following Cersei's rules. They surrendered, and they threw their swords down, but the Mad Queen became the Mad Queen. He sees John, very sadly, and then John comes across Grey Worm. Actually, before this, Tyrion says he's going to go for a walk, and John sends some men with him. He says no, he's going to go on his own. John continues, and he comes up across Grey Worm and some of his people. They have a couple of the King's Landing knights or guards still sitting there, or still alive. They have been captured, they're prisoners, and Grey Worm has sentenced them to death because that's what Daenerys has sentenced them to death. Of course, she sentenced everybody to death in King's Landing. John says it's wrong, they're prisoners, they've surrendered. It's our queen's orders. And he goes and talks to Daenerys. Tyrion walks through some of the areas you get to see. You get to see the set all destroyed again. In the aftermath, he goes down to the catacombs. He sees all the rubble. And he finds Jaime's hand. He starts digging. And then he finds their actual bodies. Now, people were complaining about Jaime going back and, not keeping his happy ending. But if you remember, he is a person that he had his happy ending, and he looked over and he was sad about it. He didn't want a happy ending. He wanted the ending he had. He knew he would have to be a sister, and he couldn't let her die, and so he tried to save her. And if you go back to that prophecy that the lady told Cersei that Tyrion would kill her, he kind of did, because he's the one that told Jaime about how to get out and set everything up for them to escape, and then the building collapsed on top of them. If he hadn't done that, she wouldn't have been there. Maybe she would have escaped. Who knows? We'll never know. There is no what-if machine. And Tyrion cries over his siblings. Arya spots Jon walking through the rows of unsullied and horse people, and she starts talking to them and does a very Hitler-esque speech about how she's going to liberate and free all the people of Westeros, all different countries. And her liberation, as you've known from the other episodes, like how she liberated the slavers, she killed them. How she liberated the people, the masters of the other country, she crucified them and killed them. And she goes a step further and puts the bloodthirsty Grey Worm in charge of her command of her forces, her master of arms, or war, they called it. And then Tyrion walks up. Oh, you betrayed me. You released your brother. Yeah, I released my brother. But you massacred a whole city full of women and innocent children. He takes his pin off, the hand of the king symbol, and throws it down the stairs. He gets arrested for treason and gets led away, and Dany follows, and Jon just looks at her. He is stopped by Arya, who randomly pops up, showing, she is a master of sneaking up on people. He says that she needs to leave the city, and he'll find her. He goes to visit Tyrion in jail, and he talks to him, I was wrong. Dickless was right. We should have listened. You would have been a much better king. She's evil. No, but she's our queen. Yeah, but she's an evil bitch. Look what she did. What would you have done? Would you have taken the surrender? Yeah, you would have taken the surrender, while she is just pure evil and killed everybody out of spite. And out of, being evil. Jon walks up leaves Tyrion, who thinks he's going to die. And he starts to see some snow move. Now, dragons are like lizards, so they're warm-blooded. Wouldn't this be dead in the winter? Maybe the fire inside helped it? Maybe. That's probably what it is, but, And he sees Jon and just ignores him and goes back to sleep. Dany, meanwhile, is inside the throne room. I'm shocked the throne survived, because you think it would have been destroyed by the rubble falling around it and everything. And she starts telling Jon a cute little story about how when she was little, her brother told her about the throne, and told her it was made out of 1,000 swords, and she couldn't count to 20, so she thought it would be much bigger. And he comes up to her and starts talking to her about how, He killed all these innocent people. No, I liberated them. They were listening. They were loyal to Cersei. No, they weren't. They had surrendered, and they would have taken the knee. No, I liberated them, and I'm going to liberate the rest of the as I'm going to liberate the rest of the country. We need compassion. Well, we never had, as most people seen without. We haven't changed the world. No one's seen the world I'm creating yet, so we have to you have to see it then. Where that's what communist people say with the well, communism hasn't worked any country properly, so we have to maybe our country will be the first it works in. John says that she is his queen, and he stabs her. And she dies, fulfilling the prince that was promised, because the prince that was promised, John fills out everything else, but instead of killing the Night King, he kills the true evil of Westeros, the Mad Queen that was going to burn everybody to death. The Night King was going to freeze everybody to death, she was going to burn everybody to death. So instead of the Song of Ice and Fire being her and John, it was her and the Night King. It was either ice or fire. Arya killed the ice, John killed the fire. John is all sad over Daenerys and cries, but Drogon shows up. He looks really angry at John, he roars, and he blows fire, and this is where I thought John was going to be cooked. But no, he ends up burning the Iron Throne, and he just growls at John and takes her and flies away. I mean, sorry, I dropped the phone for a second. Maybe he can sense that John's a Targaryen, so he's not going to kill him, or he knows that Daenerys loved him and wouldn't have wanted him to be killed. Who knows? It's a dragon. Tyrion is lying in prison, and he has walked out. He has walked out in front of a council of all the lords of Winterfell, and ladies, obviously, as well as the Onion Knight. And Sansa asks, "Where is Jon?" "Well, we're keeping him as prisoner. Jon killed our queen. We should kill him." And Arya says, talk about killing my brother one more time and I'll slit your throat," which pisses off Lesbian. Onion Knight stands up because Grey Worm says that, because Sansa says that we have 1,000 troops outside who will fight to free Jon, and Grey Worm says we have 1,000 troops in here who will fight to kill Jon. Onion Knight stands up. "No, we haven't enough fighting. We shouldn't kill people anymore. We should end this war. Grey Worm, your people can have this area that we aren't inhabiting. We don't want to be paid," he says. But then they end up taking it anyway, so they get paid. Tyrion talks and says that, you really should have a king. You should really choose your king. Who's going to choose it? Well, you all should. You're the lords of Winterfell. Not Winterfell, Westeros. The fish guy stands up and says how he should have it. And, he thinks that he should be the one because of his 2 years of experience, his two war experiences, and his years of being a nobleman. And Sansa tells him to sit down. And everybody, it's kind of a joke. He even hits his sword on a post. Sam stands up and basically starts talking about democracy. If everybody would vote, all the lords burst out laughing at him. Tyrion starts talking about what the Lord should be. And he volunteers Bran and says that he'd be perfect for it. He is the three-eyed raven. He knows the history of Winterfell. He knows the history of Westeros. He knows all the wars, the weddings, the deaths, the songs. He's a three-eyed raven. He's the perfect choice. And he asks Bran if he wants it, and Bran says, "What do you think I came down here for?" And everybody starts voting for him. Tyrion starts off with the aye, and everybody else goes around voting aye. Even Onion Knight, who says, "I'm not sure I get a vote, but I say aye." And Bran wins. And his first act of king is to make Tyrion his hand. "I don't want that." "Yeah, I know, that's your punishment. You have to suffer and make everybody else's life better for the rest of your life." And then Tyrion goes to visit Jon in prison, and he is being sent back to the Night's Watch. There's still a Night's Watch. Well, we're always going to need a place to send bastards and thieves. And Jon is sent back to his home, basically, because that's where he was supposed to be in the first season. That's all he wanted to be ever since he was a child, was be in the Night's Watch. He never wanted to be King of the North. He never wanted to be a Targaryen. He got his wish. Although he had to kill Dany. But he no longer gets to be even though he is the rightful ruler and the person of the Iron Throne, he doesn't get it. Because, well, obviously, as the person on the Night's Watch, he can't hold titles or lands. So he's no longer King of the North or the White Walker Killer or whatever you want to call it. There are all the different titles they gave him. He's now just Jon Snow, and maybe Lord Commander by the way he was dressed. At the end, I don't know. And he walks down towards the boat, which is going to take him up north. Walks by Grey Worm, he gives him a dirty look, and Grey Worm says, we're going home. We're going. All the men are loaded. We're going. Sansa, Arya, and Bran show up to say bye to him. He hugs them all goodbye. She apologizes about how, sorry we can't get you help. Sorry we couldn't do anything for you. It's fine. The North has you. You'll be the Queen of the North. He doesn't really say Queen of the North. The other people say that, but they say that the North is lucky to have you. He hugs Arya and says, this ain't goodbye. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to try to tell you that, well, you couldn't come and visit me because you're a woman. I'm not going to be in Westeros. I'm leaving. I'm going west. And Bran says bye to Jon. Which I'm surprised no one mentioned the fact that he was the Targaryen born. I guess they either forgot about that or decided just to drop it because who needs to know? Because the war with the other people would continue if they knew about it. Because, it was a coup all along. You only agreed to be with her because you knew you were the rightful ruler in your eyes and your people's eyes. So to end the war, he's kind of taking the punishment. Kind of like what Batman did at the end of The Dark Knight with him taking the punishment for what the Joker did and what Harvey did. So that Harvey could stand. He walks away, leaving his family, never to see him again. And Brienne is in the archives area with a book on knights, and she fills out the blanks of Jaime, what happened to him at the end, that he went up north and fought the dead, and then he died protecting his queen. Then you see Tyrion in the room where they conduct business for the capital, and he has to sit in the hand. He waits for the people to show up. He gets a little anal and fixes the chairs. Then everybody shows up, including the sellsword that they gave him, the Lannister land, Onion Knight, and Sam, who is the new maester of the city. And Sam gives him the book about everything that happened, A Song of Ice and Fire, and they tell Tyrion, you're not actually in it. It's supposed to be a joke scene because Tyrion was in it a lot and was a big part of it, but now he won't even be remembered in history for it, of his own people. And then Bran comes in and they start talking about business. You talk about how come, have they found the dragon yet? And no. And he says he'll find them. He'll probably warg out into the birds and try to find them. And then he leaves and everybody gets down to business, the basic stuff about running the country. We're low on food. Can you help with that? Yeah, sure, if you pay us. We need to fix the docks and the boats. We should rebuild those. We should rebuild the brothels. All the good ones were destroyed in the battle. No, we don't need brothels. We need to work on the ships and, politics. And the game is back to normal, basically. Without the whole killing stuff. It's just politicking, kind of stuff that happens when you have a country. Jon is taken back home, finishing up his hero's tale, or journey. And then you get to see the 3 Stark children that are remaining, besides Bran, who is the 3-eyed raven, and their roles. Sansa getting dressed in her Lady of the North dress, Arya walking on the ship, and Jon returning to the Night's Watch. And he even gets to be with Ghost again, and he pets him. They said he couldn't pet Ghost goodbye when he thought he was never going to see him again in episode 4 because of the CGI and everything. But then he pet him here. And, you get to see Sansa get crowned. Arya going off on the boat. Sansa gets the whole Queen of the North thing. And Jon leads the people of the wildlings back out to their home. And he keeps going with them. I mean, he has his big crow feather cloak on, so maybe he is the the Lord Commander now, but, And they walk off into the forest, and it blacks out. And that was the end of the series. What did you think of the ending? Are you one of those people that just have been bitching since episode 1 and hate the whole thing, and you're not going to watch the series anymore? You're one of the people that actually likes it? Or you're one of the people that it was okay, it's just underwhelming a little? It's not like the worst thing ever. Kind of like my thoughts of it. It's not the worst thing ever, but it's okay. I'm not going to be in like a rush to watch this season again. I might watch the other ones maybe. Comment down below, like, dislike, have a good one.